What's up, everybody? It's Andy with Nerds on the Run. We're trying out the wide shot today. I wanted to catch everybody up on a couple of things this week. In this video, I'm going to be going over the most recent Nintendo Indie World Showcase. As I've said in my last video covering these showcases, Nindies was a lot shorter and wittier, but whatever. We're doing the Indie Showcase. There are many... several of these are PC ports that came over from either Steam or maybe some of them are on the Epic Games Store. So yeah, let's go through what was available in the showcase. Most of these things were interesting to me. I am going to skip a few things that were kind of footnotes, but most of the major releases will be in here. So for anybody that was a big fan on Switch of Golf Story, there is a sequel to that. Sports Story is coming out. Sports Story is going to be something that I think will be, based on the look of it, it's still golf focused. It's kind of got all these silly like mashups of sports, like hitting like volleyballs into soccer nets with baseball bats and all kinds of wacky stuff, but apparently it still is like fairly golf centric. So it's got some other stuff going on. I never actually played Golf Story, and I completely love the art style for it, so it's a little bit of a bummer that I didn't get around to that one on my back catalog. But I'm also not a huge sports game guy, so anybody that has a lot of experience with Golf Story, please let me know in the comments. A Sports Story definitely looks a lot more fun, I think, just from a pure kind of gameplay standpoint, but we'll see. It's supposed to be coming out mid-2020, and we'll see. We'll see what the devs are going to bring us on that one. Streets of Rage 4 is coming out in 2020. That's obviously a classic franchise that's been popular for many decades. Always kind of a double-A game, though, not necessarily one that's right in the spotlight at any time. But Streets of Rage 4, it's got sort of a retro-style look still to it, but it's, obviously all new gameplay, new levels, everything like that. But if you like the side-scrolling beat-em-up type experience, then that's definitely for you. So Gleamlight, it looks super interesting. It is a side scroller in kind of like a stained glass world, so the art style looks super rad. It kind of touts as being a really like fully visual experience, no UI or anything like that. So I'll definitely keep an eye on that. It's especially if it's a shorter experience. Those are the types of experiences I usually do have a little bit more time for. So that could be good. There's the game coming out called Bake Night or Bacon Switch, like Bake N apostrophe Switch. It looks a lot like an Overcooked type thing that's coming out next summer. I like Overcooked. I've messed around with it a little bit, and I think it'd be hard to beat. So again, it does kind of invite comparison based on how it's designed, but it does look promising. I think it could be fun if you'd like that kind of couch co-op or party game experience. There is another title that was announced after that called Super Mash, and that sounds pretty promising just from kind of a wacky standpoint. That one's been out on PC for a little while, actually. It is a sort of a genre mashing game about making games. Actually, you know what? Now that I think of it, that one was a shadow drop. It's out on PC now, and it's coming to Switch later, so it hasn't been out on PC yet. It's going to be a May 2020 game for Switch, and essentially it is you use these kind of random parameters to generate, like let's say it generates a sports game and an RPG, or like a shooter and a platformer or something. But usually they're styles that you don't quite see together often, like some of the things I was just mentioning. You might see a little bit, you see RPG elements in Madden and games like Golf Story and stuff like that. You see shooting and platforming together all the time, but it can mash any two things together to kind of make all these goofy sort of not procedural, I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but kind of like a procedurally generated or like an algorithmically generated game. So it looks kind of interesting. Talos Principle is a first-person puzzle game, and that was a shadow drop. That's out now, so that's the only reason it made it from footnote to noteworthy. I do hope that the actual gameplay of it is fun. If you do like puzzle games and stuff like that, check it out. I really loved the art style on a game that was announced called Sail Forth. It was a sort of a pirate and boat fleet maker kind of game. I think it looks really sharp. It's kind of got really clean visuals, really solid coloration and stuff like that. Kind of saturated look, but still a really sharp looking game. And I really, really want to see what they do with it. If it looks like there's a mix of kind of RTS, like doing a lot of commands for many of your fleets of your ship, but then it looks like there's a lot of like kind of focus on one ship sort of view, point of view stuff going on. So I don't know if there's direct one-to-one control or if it's all RTS input. The control scheme wasn't totally clear. It was, the footage they did show was in-engine footage, but whether it was a direct gameplay or not, I do not know. So Dauntless is another title coming out for Switch, and it is basically looks a lot like Monster Hunter. It's kind of like a Monster Hunter, but you can do cross-platform play, and that's the big noteworthy part of it. Cross-platform saves, cross-platform multiplayer, and it is also a shadow drop. It's out now, and it is, I think it's going to be. I don't know. I think it's going to be okay. Honestly, Monster Hunter is such a complete package. But maybe where Monster Hunter is like super inaccessible because of how detailed it is, maybe the actual draw to that will be it's kind of a more safe game to get into. So we'll see. The Murder by Numbers game that's coming out, it looks like a visual novel or puzzle. It's made by the same folks that make Phoenix Wright on 3DS. So it does have some charm to it. It does have some elements to it that definitely make it stand out a little bit as far as puzzle games go. I have only goofed around a little bit with Phoenix Wright. I almost misspoke because I'm much more of a Professor Layton guy. When I was back on the 3DS, I got into Professor Layton quite a lot. But Phoenix Wright, I should actually say it's not the same dev, it's the same music, so it adds that kind of charm, that sort of whimsy to it. But I think it's a different dev team than the Phoenix Wright games. Still has that visual novel style to it, though, so could be interesting. I'm not really into a lot of those visual novels, but I do think that puzzle games are definitely... I've been lacking them severely since Professor Layton ended. I've been really looking for something new in the puzzle category to get into, and I think that could do the trick. So we'll see. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Gosh, that game is from 2 gens ago now, technically speaking. It was 2 gens ago. So in other words, it was an Xbox One game originally. And Stranger's Wrath HD came out last generation for PS. I don't remember if it made it to PS3. It definitely got the port to Xbox One. It's been on PC forever. It takes place in the Oddworld universe, and rather than being a side-scrolling kind of trial and error game, it is more of a third-person action shooter platformer. It kind of alternates actually between first and third person. I've always really liked the character of Stranger. I've always liked the idea of Stranger's Wrath. And I just never really got into, it's got goofy, zany ammo. You can shoot little critters and stuff as your ammunition. It's got cool sort of character designs and world design. But it is really obvious that it is a game as old as it is. It hasn't aged as well as I think some of the games from that generation. So... It's available. It's an HD up-res. It's not like a from-the-ground-up remake like we were getting with Spyro and Crash and all that stuff. If they were going to do something like that, that actually might catch my attention. But this is just a port of the last-gen HD up-res. So, but I'm glad it's on Switch. If it's a game you've never played before, then it's available to you on your Switch, which is a great thing. That's coming out January, so look forward to that if you're an Oddworld fan, or if you love Stranger's Wrath and you aren't able to play it on a ported version that exists currently and you have a Switch, that's your thing. Skatebird has been sort of murmuring around for a while. Skatebird is a very goofy game. Skatebird, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's being revealed again. It's because they kind of went quiet on it for quite a long time. It's coming out late 2020, which it's probably gonna get pushed to 2021 if I'm honest. But the Tony Hawk puns are definitely abound with this type of thing. It looks like a little tiny skate park that could take place, on top of a desk or on top of a table, and you're a little bird, like on a little, if anybody is as old as me and remembers like tech decks, like those little toy skateboards, it's like a little bird on a little skateboard, and you can do grinds, and it's kind of you could be in a skate park, you can do vert type tricks, you can kind of flap your wings a little bit to slow down your descent so that you can get a little bit more airtime when you're doing tricks. It looks like pure fun. The little birdies and stuff in it are can have little clothes and stuff, and they look cute. So, Liberated is a comic book cyberpunk looking game coming out, kind of a Limbo Contra mashup. Looks really different. It's a side-scrolling stealth game is how it's being touted, so we'll see. Boyfriend Dungeon, which is a port from PC, is sort of a date sim mashed with a dungeon crawler. This Indie World Showcase is definitely really focused on mashing different game styles together. So it is something really different and interesting, but we'll see. We'll see if it's worth getting into. Axiom Verge is getting a sequel, so if anybody's an Axiom Verge fan, that was kind of the secret that they dropped at the one more thing at the end of the show. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. In any case, I've been Andy with Nerds on the Run. Please like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if you want to see more stuff like this in the future. See ya.